The receptionist looked up from her computer, and I could tell that her expression was uninterested as she spotted us approaching. I asked the receptionist if I could have 2 adjoining rooms with a view if possible, trying to maintain a cheerful demeanor despite being tired and annoyed from the long drive. Without looking up from her screen, she already had an attitude and replied if I had a reservation. No, I didn't make a reservation, I admitted. We decided to stop here on a whim as part of the road trip tradition, I said, laughing, trying to make the mood lighter. The receptionist's demeanor didn't change and she let out the biggest sigh, while her eyes met mine with a disinterest and mild irritation. Well, without a reservation, I can't guarantee anything special. It's busy season, you know. I looked at her and apologized, telling her that she was right and that I should have made a reservation. She let out another sigh while shaking her head and muttered something underneath her breath. I noticed it and asked her if she had a problem, while smiling. Her eyes widened, maybe she got caught off guard by my question. She seemed to realize she had let her frustration slip, but instead of apologizing, she straightened up. It's just that we have a lot of guests coming through, and it's hard to accommodate everyone's request without proper planning, she replied with a defensive tone. She continued by saying, and you guys decide to come here without any reservation is being inconsiderate for the people who work here. I was shocked about what I was hearing, but I maintained my smile and told her that I completely understood. I told her that she was just doing her best to manage because of this busy season and she's probably tired. I understood that it was wrong for me to not call a reservation, but I was already being treated like shit in front of my family. I took a deep breath, trying to remain composed despite the surge of frustration. I felt like this interaction had taken a turn for the worse, and I needed to handle it delicately, especially since my family was standing beside me. I didn't want to cause any commotion. I appreciate your honesty, I said, my tone measured. And I apologize for any inconvenience our stop may have caused. I asked if she had any other rooms available and she replied that she only had 1 room, but it wasn't 2 adjoining rooms and didn't have a view. I told her that we'll take it. As we paid for the hotel, she gave the card to the room and I told my wife to go ahead with the kids, and I'll catch up with them. As my family began to walk away, I looked at the receptionist again, who was still uninterested. You know, I began with a calm voice. I've been in the hospitality business for quite some time now. The receptionist, still looking at her computer, ignored me and didn't respond. I was in disbelief and I had enough. You can now check if there's a part 2 by pressing share and more. Receptionist looked down on me, not knowing I own the hotel chain part 2. I asked her if I could talk to the manager, in which she sighed again and got up from her chair. She told me to follow her and she led me behind the counter, to a door that marked manager's office. She knocked firmly, and a man in a suit opened the door. He asked what she wanted and she told him that a customer wanted to talk to him. The middle-aged man looked at me and asked what I needed help with, as he approached me and shook my hand. I offered him a tight smile and apologized for the inconveniences and told him that I was the owner of the hotel, as I handed him my business card. I told him that I wanted to discuss a matter regarding the service of the hotel and that I was extremely disappointed. The manager's eyebrows shot up in surprise as he glanced at my business card. "You're the owner?" he exclaimed with astonishment and realization. I nodded firmly and asked him if we could go inside his office to talk about the hotel services. He nodded and welcomed me inside. As we entered, I looked back and saw that the receptionist's mood shifted. As the manager was about to close the door, I asked him to bring the receptionist inside as well. Once inside, I wasted no time in detailing the events that had transpired at the front desk. I told him about the dismissive attitude, the lack of professionalism, and the overall sense of dissatisfaction that had ruined with our experience. The manager started telling me that he was sorry, with his expression growing more serious with each passing moment. I told them that I appreciated his understanding, but I also wanted to ensure that this issue is addressed appropriately. I told them that it was not just about me, but it's also about every guest who walks through these doors. The receptionist also didn't waste any time and started apologizing to me as well, explaining that she was just tired and dealt with a lot of rude customers throughout the day. I explained to her that I understood the frustration behind the counter because I worked as a receptionist as well back in the day when I was learning the family business. I told the receptionist that she could leave, and told her to leave the manager and I alone. As she left, the manager started offering his sincere apologies and assured me that no such incidents will not occur again in the future. He began by telling me that he will be releasing the receptionist from her job, in which I told him that I wanted her to keep the job. Like I said, I replied. I understand her frustration and I believe in giving people second chances. However, I emphasized the importance of proper training and support to ensure that such incidents do not repeat themselves. I left the manager's office and rejoined my family feeling satisfied with the way I had addressed with the issue. My family ended up going to the beach where my wife and I had our wedding and we had a fun time. I flew back to the same hotel months later with my business partner who ran the hotels with me. I told him to go inside and pretend that he didn't have a reservation. Thankfully, the same receptionist treated him kindly and was surprised to see me afterwards.